Yo, what's up guys, it is your Finnish engineer here. This time I wanted to drop a quick tip your way on using Pro-Q3 efficiently in a dynamic sidechaining way, which I do probably in every mix that I do for myself and my clients. So that is quite a few mixes per year, hundreds. So let me just show you and let me play you some audio real quick. So I have a vocal and some synth stuff. I just created this in like 2 seconds. Let me flick the EQ off, sorry. So they're clashing a little bit. It's not like the worst clashing you've ever heard in your life, but here's the vocal.
Trouble, low, trouble set me free.
Here's the synths. And this is without any processing.
Trouble set me free.
So you can hear that they're kind of competing of the same space. This is the EQ that I will be doing, and I will show you how to do it.
Trouble set me free.
Obviously I'm going super hard, but sometimes it's good to demonstrate. So let's flick it on and off real quick. So this is without it.
Trouble set me free.
With it.
Trouble set me free.
Okay, so I'm gonna run you through this. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So whoops. Let's just get a Pro-Q3. Ignore these, it's my default stuff. So how do I do this? I have the vocal here, track 4, and this Pro-Q3 is on this synth track. So in Ableton Live, this is how you do it. I haven't used any other DAWs, but I'm sure you can do this in a very similar way. So Ableton Live allows for the sidechain input. So on this track, sidechain source will be the vocal track. So I will be doing dynamic sidechaining. What does it mean? What does it mean that it's dynamic? Well, dynamic means that it's not cutting all the time. So this would be your basic normal EQ. It's cutting all the time unless you do some automation. So dynamic means that it's only cutting, or it could be boosting, when it's told to. So when is it told to? That's the sidechain part. When the vocal is telling this EQ on the synth track to do the cutting. So that's the sidechain. So it takes the signal, like the command from the source track, which is the vocal. So vocal is telling the synth track to cut. So let's do just that. On Analyzer, you have to activate sidechain as the source so you can see it.
Trouble set me free.
Like I said earlier, this is not your most drastic clashing ever. It's kind of far from it, but still I can use this in a very broad way also, so it's kind of acting almost like a compressor. But how to do this? So as you can see,
Trouble set.
You see vocal in red.
Trouble set me free.
And the gray is the synth. That's the main track, or the track that this EQ is on. So what I will do is I'll just locate some of like the clashing frequency part. Let me put it here, and then there's this outer ring to this EQ node. So this is the dynamic part. So I will have to mess with this as it plays. That's you have to mix things in context anyway, so numbers aren't everything. So I'll just pull this down. So now it means that it could do up to -8.5 dB of cutting. And this is just the cue, or how broad or narrow this EQ will be. And also you have to activate sidechain here. So this is the way. So now you will see the sidechain level here.
Trouble set me free.
You'll see that it's coming in kind of hard. It's not necessarily a problem, but you can actually set the input gain of the sidechain signal here very efficiently in Ableton Live. So watch this as I set the gain.
Trouble set me free. Trouble.
Because sometimes when it comes in too loud, it's always at the top. So the level can be kind of too loud, so it's kind of annoying to set it. So I just wanted to have it there, so this makes sense here.
Trouble, oh, trouble set me free.
So here you see the levels, the sidechain level rising here. So this is the threshold where that the sidechain level has to exceed so that the dynamic cutting will happen. So now if you look at this, you will see what's happening here.
Trouble, oh, trouble set me free.
So it is cutting now.
Trouble, oh,
I could go super drastic.
trouble, oh, trouble set.
I could go super broad.
Trouble, oh, trouble set.
I could even increase the gain and it gets even more drastic.
Trouble, oh, trouble set.
Without it,
Trouble, oh,
with it.
trouble, oh,
But I don't always use it like this in this such a broad manner. Oh, by the way, one tip, I do this fairly often in mixing. So let me go a little less drastic. Here you can set the operating mode of this EQ. So now it will be cutting the whole stereo signal. So it means that it will be cutting mono and the side signal. But what I often do in mixing these days is it may work fairly nicely if you just cut the mid signal. So there will be no clashing in mono, but the side signal stays as it is. So you could try messing with this.
trouble, oh,
So if you have headphones or a good stereo system, you will now hear that the stereo signal will stay.
trouble, oh, trouble set me free.
Let me flick to mono stereo.
Trouble, oh, trouble set me free. Trouble, oh, trouble set me free.
And that is it. But let me show you another scenario that is way more specific. Let's do it. Okay, let's go. I extracted these tracks from a client mix. I have a bass and a kick. There's a drum loop. Bass. So many of you will do or are doing kick and bass sidechaining. So this is just my favorite tool for this. I'll just basically repeat what I did earlier. So I put this EQ on the bass track, and the sidechain track will be, there's a kick track here. You could also, if you had a drum loop, that could be it. But now sidechain signal will be the kick. Honestly, it's not the worst clashing either, but let's just do this. So I will create an EQ node and I will set this to the lowest peaking frequency of the kick, which is kind of close to the bass anyways. Well, there it is. Let's give it some dynamic action. Oh yeah, I messed it up. So I clicked on this one. Because if you do this is like a static cut. So let me do it again. This outer ring. So because I was wondering, like, why didn't I see this? Because this activates the sidechain. So this is the one. This sets the maximum amount of cutting. This activates sidechain as the trigger. So now every time the kick plays, the lowest peaking frequency of the kick, which has the most energy, is being cut off the bass track. So this is how you do dynamic sidechaining with Pro-Q3. I use this in every mix. It makes mixing so easy, because in every mix you're gonna have some elements that are competing. Usually, especially in vocal mixes, vocal has to stay the king or the queen, and so I do put this EQ on some of the instrument tracks that are competing with the vocal. It's so easy, it's so fast. I hope it helps. And hey, if you want, follow me on Patreon. If you need mixing or mastering, I'm the guy. This year I've handled around 300 projects, some of those multi-track mixes and masters, some masters, and I also do a video service of how I mix your song. So if that's something you like, get in touch. Till the next time, thanks.